Now, the interesting thing that we've got going on right now is we've got this huge growth out there of mobile devices. I mean, just going crazy. Mobile devices going across, sweeping the country. Almost everybody's getting a mobile device, and they're connected to the internet on these mobile devices. Well, guess what? Now, screen sizes aren't 1024 anymore. We're dropping back down to smaller screens, okay? And guess what? We're not connected to DSL lines anymore. Depending on, where you're at with these cell connections, they're getting better than they were. But our speeds are dropping way, way down. And the compatibilities on things are running down. Like Apple, for example, has their iPhones, which are incredibly popular, and the iPhones will not support Flash, okay? So if you use Flash on your website, guess what happens if somebody pulls it up on an iPhone? Not going to work, okay? If you have a whole entirely, we see people, they wanted to build these gorgeous sites, all completely Flash sites. It's not going to work at all if somebody's using an iPhone or an iPad, just because they don't support that. So you're immediately chopping off that potential customers or those potential markets for your website. Okay, so always build for the lowest common denominator. Now with mobile devices, you've got a couple of, well, you sort of got three different choices. Okay, one, you can be like an ostrich and bury your head in the sand and not worry about it. But it's becoming a huge proportion of the market out there, okay? Number two, you can make your current website so that it's more compatible with it by simplifying it, by getting rid of the videos and the graphics and those kinds of things, and doing some things on the pages themselves so they'll reformat themselves better to the different size screens. So you can make your current website better. But if you've got big graphics and big stuff on there and lots of it, it's not going to work very well. So you need to simplify. The third option is, and I still think it's a good idea to simplify your site down and not get too carried away, but the third option is to actually create mobile pages on your website, and you can actually set it up so that your website will determine whether it's a computer or whether it's a smartphone, and it will automatically display different pages based upon which those are. But any way you slice it, you're better off to keep your pages simple and to not get too carried away. Build to your lowest common denominator, so that you can pick up as many people as you can, and you're not lopping people off. You're not lopping off potential customers just because they're not able to view your website because you've got too carried away with it. So always aim low, build for the lowest common, the lowest level you can on your websites, okay? Okay, and I think that these two kind of flow together. Commandment number 6, simple is best, okay? Keep your website simple. If you get in there, a lot of us, it seems like all day long, we just operate in brain overload mode. You've got too much stuff in front of us, and our eyes glaze over, and we start snoring, okay? Keep it simple, keep it clean, make it easy. That is so important with your website. Look at it, have other people look at your site, but make sure that it's simple, it's easy to use, it's not cluttered up with a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff. Just because you can put it on there doesn't mean that you should. Keep it to the point. Keep it simple. Don't clutter it up. People, want to do all these graphics and all these fancy things. And so, since you've got 10,000 fonts, let's use 10,000 fonts. Keep it simple. It's going to be much more effective. Just let it do its job. Don't clutter it up, okay? Let's look at a typical website. If you make your website, people get into sort of a habit. They get into sort of a mindset. They are used to the majority of the way the sites are set up out there, okay? The most common way for people to set up a website is they put a header across the top. Then they'll run navigation, some buttons or some links right under that header, and or down the left-hand side of the page. Okay. Sometimes you'll just have the navigation down the left-hand side of the page, and you won't have any navigation under the header. But you can do it both. You can put them in both places. Some put them in both places, but those are the places where people expect to see the content, or the navigation. Now, the content usually goes in the main area on the page on the right-hand side. Okay, they've done research studies, and if you put the navigation on the right-hand side, the number of people that look at it just drops off, and it's not as effective. Okay, and then under the content will go the footer. So kind of if you follow the standard format, when people come into your website, they don't have to think about it. They don't have to figure it out. You know, I think people are all like me. We're a little bit lazy. You know, we don't want to think. So let's not make them think. Let's use a common content. And you can still, even using this positioning, you know, with graphics and things, you can make your site look incredible, but still be following this same map, or at least follow it as close as you could, so we don't confuse people, we don't mess them up, we don't make it hard for them to think. Okay, now here's an example of that. Okay, if you look up here, we've got a header at the very top of the page. We've got our navigation here, and let's count them, see if they live up to the rule of sevens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at that. That top bar is within the rule of sevens. Okay. Then they've got navigation down the side here, down the left-hand side. Let's count and see if they obey the rule of sevens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, 8. Okay, one too many there. So if I was making a recommendation, you know, if they could do it, I mean, it's not a huge thing, but let's not put 20. But if they could eliminate one of these and somehow get it down to 7, it would be slightly better. I mean, 8 is not as bad as 10, which is not as bad as 20, you know, which I've seen on a website without any problem at all. Okay, and then they've got their content here, and if we could scroll down, we'd find a footer at the bottom as well. So you can see this follows the format. It's fairly clean. I've got some white spaces in here, and it's a fairly pleasing website. Okay, but it follows that same format. So as soon as I load this page up, my brain just automatically engages, and it's like, you know, well, think about it. You know, if you got into a car, and you know, occasionally I'll pull up to a car next to me, and I'll look over there, and the steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car, you know, and even just sitting there, you know, something just screams to me, you know, that's not right. The steering wheel shouldn't be on the other side of the car. I'm in the wrong country. But you know, that just feels wrong. And I think websites are the same way. You know, if you jump into every car, and you know, the turn signal's always on the left-hand side, and you know, I've got too many cars. I have too many kids, and they all want to have cars. And so, you know, every time I change one of my cars, as long as I'm driving mine, I'm fine. But if I get into one of the kids' cars, I got to figure out where all the dang things are. Where's the windshield wipers? That's the one that always drives me crazy, because, you know, I may have to stop if it starts raining to figure out where the heck the windshield wiper is and to turn it on. Okay. If we can keep things more standard, it makes things easier for people to figure out. It makes it so that they don't have to work at it. And on the internet, just like we talked about with that bread, people are impatient. People don't want to have to think about it. They want to just drop right in, find what they want, get it. If you're selling something, if they can drop right in, instantly find it, easily buy it, your sales will go way up, and you'll be more effective, and you'll reach your objective and your goals much better by doing these things. Okay. Now we're talking about simple being best. This is a pretty simple page. Okay. Sort of has a header up here that has the name of it. Okay. This is a real web page. Now he's got his navigation on the left-hand side, so he's obeyed that rule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. Okay. So he could simplify. He's got a few too many bars there, but this is a fairly simple page, okay? But what makes this page not simple? Okay, if you look at it for a second, what bothers you about this page? This is a real page that somebody put up there, okay? The problem with this page is the color. I don't know what it does to your eyes, but my eyes go freakazoid when they start looking at this thing. You know, it's like my brain starts vibrating or something. The color, just the color of this thing, makes it not simple. It just screams at me. Okay. Now this is a place to go and relax, and this page does not say that to me at all. It's screaming at me with the color of this, okay? So there are lots of things that can affect keep it simple. Lots of things that can affect that, whether it's the color, whether it's the text placement, whether it's the navigation, okay? Those are all things that help make it feel better just because it doesn't work my brain out, you know? This red works out my eyeballs and it works my brain out. My whole eyeballs and brain starts jiggling and vibrating, and so that is bad. So keep it simple. Keep it simple. Okay?